Sports.
Sports.
We're stuff about sports live Tuesday. It is a little after 8. The three of us, I know for sure, we are riding that Alex Rodriguez high still. I don't know about you guys, but all weekend I couldn't get to sleep. I was still so excited that he was able to join us and talk to us. And then,
Yeah.
dude, rolling right into it, shortly after he joined us, Major League Baseball made the announcement that they were going to start their regular season in July. How do you guys feel about that?
Go ahead, Ty.
No, I can't go ahead. I'm setting this stuff up. Go ahead, man.
Oh, then I will go. So I'm excited because it's really like it's sports, right? Like we're used to the NFL. The NFL this whole time has been on time with this stuff. And they're
Right.
saying, listen, we're going ahead as scheduled. And nobody else really, I know Dana White tried with Fight Island and all the stuff he went through. And thankfully he was able to finally get it done. But it, like, as far as the four major sports, other than football, nobody else has really not only come out with plans, but really said anything. And the fact that baseball said, yo, all right, July 4th, apparently Independence Day, which is ironic. Obviously, that's by design. To say that they're coming back is amazing. I know there's a little hiccups with money. Apparently, there's a thing where the players are asked to give up a portion of the guaranteed money from the CBA that's allotted based on the amount of games played. Obviously, they can't play a full schedule. So apparently, it's the players' fault why this hasn't been official. I don't know. I'm not into baseball like that to know the full details. I'll rely on you to explain that better, Corey, if you know.
Not 100%. So basically, they have to come to some sort of an agreement. Obviously, the players have their own union, and being that everything's being deviated from their quote unquote contract, they all, or at least majority, has to agree to move forward with the process. Thus, agreeing to cut their paycheck down, obviously, for the games that they're missing. Is it affecting the average Joe in the clubhouse? No, absolutely not. But some of the heavy hitters are going to be missing a significant amount of money. Would it matter? No, not in they're not changing their lifestyle at all. But I think they're looking at it the same way the rest of us average, I'll say average salaried people are looking at it is it wasn't their fault that the virus is here. They didn't ask for this, so why should they be stripped of any sort of, money, even though the ownership is still making more than enough money, if not more now, depending on the demand of tickets, ticket prices, and all that other stuff, because it is a shortened season. Baseball's a long season as it is. You shorten that up, you can believe almost every stadium is going to be sold out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly. That's the way I look at it. I feel like you just got to be smart. They got to think business wise and be smart about it. Like every industry is disrupted. Everything is different. Like everything is nothing's the same. Nothing's going to be the same, at least for the near future. So you got to figure it out. So whether it be charging tickets for online people to watch and whatnot, or whether it be continue to do whatever virtual things, whatever it is, you got to just figure it out. And there's money to be made, and at some point things will open back up and there will be more revenue to be had, but you got to just figure out ways to plug the holes while you can to make sure people continue to get paid. That's all. You just got to just figure it out, right? And I'm just happy that there's plans in place to get to the next step.
Exactly.
I'm just ready for football, really. More than anything, I just can't wait for the season, man. Like it better happen, and it has to.
Oh,
So
it's gonna happen. Listen, with the baseball thing, if that's the case, then I side with the low man on the totem pole, right? So like the Mike Trouts and the Bryce Harpers of the world, much like the elite in a normal America, they're okay with staying at home and being quarantined because they have enough money to do so. It's the regular people that are ready to open things back up so they can get back to work, so they can provide for their families. It's no different in sports. 99% of the leagues, of all leagues, are the grunt workers, the guys you don't know their names, they're not household names. So they
Right.
want to play. And I expect them to want to play. So it sounds like the 1%, much like America right now, the 1% are making decisions for the 99%. And the 1% are the least amount affected, which is extremely unfair for the baseball players that are out there trying to make it. So hopefully they come to an agreement. Things like this, I don't see there has to be an agreement made here. I don't care who you are in terms of the power players. You want to play.
Exactly, and I think there definitely will be. I think as soon as they iron out everything, you're not going to have a strike or a holdout. These guys want to play. They, of course, any professional athlete, but I feel like more in baseball, it's more poetic. They have more of like you see that real passion, and they want to get out there, and more importantly, I think there is a lot of pressure from society now to these professional athletes because we need this as a sense of normalcy. So I feel like they have that pressure of like, let's just iron it out and give these people, they've been locked up for 2 months, 3 months. Let's just go and we'll worry about everything else.
It's
later,
serious though. I mean, if you look at like if you look at the numbers of consumption of drugs and alcohol and all these things that are happening in your
Oh yeah,
household, like come on, man. This isn't out of thin air. We need sports, and if we don't get
Yeah.
it, we don't get it soon. We're gonna be in these streets. We're gonna be in these
Yeah,
streets
yeah,
looking for
yeah.
something else. So, like, please, man, like they're gonna get it done. I'm not worried about anything, So, and obviously, it's a joke. We don't need sports, but I mean, we need some kind of entertainment. And
right.
and shoot, I need to see the Bucks this season. It's too much. It's too much anxiety and anxiousness and build up to sit this on the sidelines, man. So they got to figure something out.
So
Well,
let's move it over to football.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
No,
go
I was gonna
ahead.
say
No, go.
I've been consistent with siding with like damn, I lost my thought. Go ahead. Never mind. All right. Never mind.
Well, I
I'm
think I
sorry.
know you were going as far as siding with let's open up, let's push this, let's just kind of figure out safely how to get everybody out, but let's more importantly open and see because we've heard a lot from these medical professionals about what could happen, but that's more of like at least now it looks like more of a scare tactic to kind of keep people to use some sort of caution when going out. But like now people, it's getting warm outside. People want to head
Yeah.
outside. They want to kind of see how they want to test the limits. Basically, it's like a little kid touching a hot stove. They want to really see if
Man,
coronavirus is what it's all about.
they've been testing the limits.
Yeah,
I mean,
for real.
but at the end of the day, a majority of people, and I know we're talking a little bit outside of sports, but a majority of the country has been inside, and it's been longer than 2 weeks, which is the time they said. So, I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter. Like, just let everybody outside now. You know what I mean? Like, it's time to open it up, and get things normal, and I kind of feel bad, not even just for the players, the low no name players. I feel bad for like the people who rely on working at the stadiums every season, and I like
Yeah.
those people need this job, and the billionaires, they're not gonna. And I get that the billionaires can't. They can always open. They can operate without players, right? The owner of the Yankees can own Yankee Stadium and run it and get anybody to play baseball. The problem is if your players aren't the caliber of players that they have, it's not going to be a good product. So, they need to figure that out together and say, hey, we
Right.
need each other and we need to get this thing going. So,
And
and
then
that
you
was
saw
it.
that back in the 90s when baseball went on strike and the owners tried to use these replacement players and it just didn't work. So I think they're going to get it. They're going to work it out. But what we were moving to football, I was kind of curious to see at least everybody else's opinion is I feel like football is overly cautious about opening up more so than baseball or basketball or hockey that are trying to develop something to open up quick. I feel like football is kind of living in the shadows right now. They still say there's a season, but there's been a lot of talk of a season at least without fans in the stands. I wanted to get your take because football, I get camps open up as early as early July, but as far as the season goes, you're talking September. Are we really going to be worried about stadiums in September with all this?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
listen, we have a wedding to go. We have a wedding to travel for in October. We're going to Disney World. It's booked for November. Like there's big major events that's planned for the end of this year. For a lot of people, that's like, man, it better happen. Like by that point. And if it is, I think the worst at this point, I think the worst case scenario is just that it's going to be limited. Like,
Right.
that's what we're hearing is like it's going to be, just pretty much less than capacity. Like we're going to have, we can have it, but it can't be packed. Like we're still going to have, lines. When you have the concession stands, they're going to have the same 6 foot distancing tape that you have at Walmart, and you're going to have, 2 seats, 3 seats in between people and that kind of stuff. I think that's worst case scenario because, I guess worst case scenario really is no fans, but there has to be play. I'm cool with no fans. Like in reality, I really am fine with that as long as they play,
course.
and figure it out. Put it on TV, broadcast it somehow.
Germ?
Yeah, yeah. So, as you guys know, I'm into professional wrestling, and like sports, it's one of my main concerns when football starts. Will I watch, or will everybody watch football when it comes back? Yes, of course.
No matter what.
But no matter what, now the question is, will you keep watching? Take pro wrestling, for example. Everybody was watching at first, but there's something about the crowd. The ratings for wrestling have been dwindling. Nothing has changed.
It's a little
other
different,
than-
and you mentioned it too. No, hold on, you mentioned it. You're like the fact that there's no fans makes you like really start realizing that this is fake. That's a little bit different. Like it's a different than
Well, it's not
than
even that.
a real
Like,
competition.
Well, yeah, in terms of pro wrestling, obviously football and baseball and basketball are completely different than pro wrestling. What I'm saying is not even in that aspect. Something about the live crowd getting excited gets you excited. Something about it draws you in. Hearing the reactions. And in wrestling, obviously, the crowds help you tell the story, but it also, like, especially when it comes to like these big pay-per-views, it just gets you hyped. Like things that like I should be excited because, oh my God, everybody erupted. So I'm erupting on my couch. So if I'm watching football and I see a big hit, like like when I see the crowd go, oh my God, I'm at my couch saying, oh my God, instead of saying, oh wow, he got hit. It's like it takes you out of it when there's nothing in the background.
I don't think there's any debate about that. I agree 100%.
Right.
Like, I
Right.
think there's a huge aspect, and I don't think it's going to be as fun, not nearly as fun. It's just,
Right.
I don't think you're going to turn it off, though. I mean, I know for a fact you're not going to turn it off. You're not going to, all three of us will not turn off our team. I'm not watching the Bucks. You're not watching the Bills for any reason at all. I don't care.
No.
Yeah.
Your team is fine, but then I'll watch the red zone. I'll watch this. But now with nothing going on, people are finding other things to do in life, right? So, like,
Yeah.
is that going to keep your attention if you're just watching? Like, I was watching the UFC 249, and we could talk about it later about how everything went down there. But it was weird watching it with no crowd in there. Like luckily there was no grappling that much, because if there was any dead moments, I seriously would have been staring at the screen more than I was, because I was like, luckily there was some exciting fights and it was cool to watch, but with no crowd, it was just so awkward, man. It was so awkward to just, hear all the little tiny noises, and I was like, man, this is.
But all the real, I'm not a super UFC MMA fan, but the real ones are not turning off. Like, they're going to tune in. That's all I'm saying. Like, you got to, no matter what, the games, the competition has to go on. If there's no fans, still go do it, record it. And you're right, it won't be as great. Maybe numbers might be down. I think there's positivity in it. I think numbers might be up because everybody's freaking home and nobody has anything to do. So the numbers should be up, and you just got to figure it out. Like, all right, how can we make it exciting? Like, you saw the draft. Goodell brought in the fans on the Zoom. That might be a little weird on a football game, but you just got to figure out some kind of way to fill up that dead air in those empty stands.
I think we're missing one very important aspect to either baseball, football, whenever it opens up, and that's gambling. I think no matter what, if you put money on the
casinos,
game,
the casinos. I'm looking at right now. I'm using a Robinhood app. I invest in stocks, and I'm looking at the casinos. Like, they're dead right now because they're just closed. So there's no way they're gonna let those guys die. Like, they're gonna they need that revenue of the.
But
apps.
I'm even talking like keeping your attention, keeping invested in the game, even if you needed that edge, that crowd. I think if that average person might turn to gambling. They might say, all right, how am I going to make sure I'm extra invested in this? From football, I think it affects literally more from a player perspective, getting the crowd hyped when they're making that 4th and 1 stop, that defensive stand. I think for at least the three of us, I can speak. I don't care if there's nobody in the stands. I'm watching that team. And even if it is red zone, if it's not my team, I'm still watching it. It's football.
And football. Even if it's not my team, I'm watching any football, to be honest. I don't care if there's no fans or not. And then especially because of fantasy football, I think we all watch more football because of fantasy football. But I don't think I watch as much football since fantasy football.
Well, so my argument really comes from, because yes, people like us and people like the general, but so think about it. NFL ended and the XFL started, right? If if the line of thinking was us and more people like us were watching that, you would assume that more people, the same amount of people, would be watching XFL as the NFL because it's simply football.
I wouldn't,
I'm
though.
saying only because
I think NFL has that baked in brand, though. I think
That
NFL
brand,
has that
exactly.
brand.
You-
Yeah.
that brand.
Okay, it's baked in, but do you think a majority of people watching NFL football were more casual fans or diehard fans like we are?
More
That would
casual.
watch it no matter what. Casual. That's my point. So the casual, I'm not speaking about us. We have a sports show. Like we're watching it, right? I'm talking about my wife who doesn't know nothing about the Eagles, who asks me all the time what time the Eagles are playing and sits there and watches it, has no idea what she's watching. But she'll watch the Eagles, but she's not going to watch it if there's no crowds.
She's not gonna
and
like
she's
it.
barely paying it. And she's not going to like it.
Yeah.
She's barely paying attention to it as it is. You know, she's just asking. She hears the crowd roar and says, "Oh, did we score?" You know, there's way more people like that in the world that are watching these games.
It's
than
gonna get
there
way
are-
more. You're right. It's gonna be way more technical. It's gonna be way more like
Yeah.
hike, and you're like watching the whole play, and there's gonna be a
Yeah.
lot less. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's gonna give you
I'm
definitely
not
a different
speaking.
aspect.
Yeah, I'm not
Right.
speaking for us. I'm obviously people like us and who we represent. We're going to watch it no matter what. But a majority of people that are in the stands and the majority of the people that are watching at home are casuals. And I think it'll affect it a lot more than you guys are going on.
We'll see. I mean, look, man, time will tell. Come July, we'll see when baseball starts, and then we'll definitely see in September. I know we're all going to be on the edge of our seat. So keeping it with football, Jerm, you had made, judging by the reaction of the internet, a bold statement.
Yeah, you went
wanna get into it?
like mini viral. You went like
I
viral
know.
kind of. I feel like.
You had
Listen.
trolls instantly.
If you are a lightning rod, you attract lightning because that is your purpose. Okay.
Context.
Now-
So the context is we you made a post, and
Yeah.
this is something that you say all the time. I don't know how we even get on this guy every single
I've
episode,
been
but
consistent,
somehow this guy's name comes up for no reason, and you just crap all over him. But
I'm not crapping all over
you
him.
made
I've given him
we'll
credit.
talk. But you made a post that Andrew Luck is overrated, and that got. We didn't really post it any more than we posted anything else. We just put it out there,
Oh.
but everybody seemed to just flood it in its comment and go crazy. Like all the groups commented, everybody's like going at it. It's so much polarity right now in terms of that topic. Like, is he overrated? I guess, or was he overrated because he's not even a player anymore? So, obviously we know you say he's overrated. Like, expound on that, man. Like, why are you so adamant about that?
My network brethren, if you would divulge me a little bit of time as I go on this monologue and just bear with me and allow me to expound on this, and then I will ask for your reaction. It's funny you ended your statement with he was overrated because he's no longer playing anymore, because a lot of people would expect me to cave into pressure, not knowing that I have a monopoly on the truth. All I want to do is speak the truth, okay? So not only am I here to explain why I think Andrew Luck is overrated, I'm here to double down and tell you that Andrew Luck is the biggest NFL bust of all time. Now, allow me to explain this, okay? We don't credit nobodies on this show, but there was a specific admin of a group that said I had the coldest take ever and he doesn't want to watch the show if this was the subject matter. And I will call him John, even though I think that's his real first name. Now, John, I hope you're watching. I really do. Because, listen, I get it. John, you're an Eagles fan, so you don't know a lot about football. And maybe, just maybe, I will get Ty to transcribe this segment into crayon so you could follow along. Now, back in 2012, actually, let's go back to 2011 when Peyton Manning was hurt, and it was clear that they needed somebody else. They had Dan Orlovsky and they had Drew Stanton. They had like, it was clear after maybe 3 or 4 games they weren't going to win a lot of games. Immediately, the Andrew Luck hype went along. Now, if you remember correctly, Andrew Luck was the biggest, most hyped quarterback coming out of college, and that noise got even louder as his college career went on and as the Colts were piling up losses.
Well,
Now,
So what was their record when they went to the draft?
They went 2-14. Okay.
2-14. That's a nice. That's an interesting
All right,
number.
allow me-
Let's
I know.
frame
I'm gonna
that
get
number.
there.
You know where I'm going with that.
That
2-14. Before
number's
the year they
crazy.
drafted him, 2-14. Continue on.
Now, they drafted Andrew Luck, and they thought he was good enough to replace Peyton Manning. Now, before I get to the actual point,
Where'd they go that year? I'm curious. Like, where'd they go the year they drafted him?
12-4. Now,
What? What? I didn't even
Yep.
know that was a number. That 12-4. They went from what?
2-14 to 12-4. Absolutely.
Jesus
One.
Christ. From
Now,
drafting
actual-
from a rookie quarterback. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, hold on. I had it
Damn.
written down, but it's on the other side of
Corey.
the.
Damn.
Damn.
Damn, Corey.
I'm waiting for him to tie this bow because
I mean, if Tyson would stop interrupting me, I can put this together.
This is your argument. I just want to make sure you don't skip
I'm
points.
trying to make an argument. Now, a bust for some people has only to do with performance. Andrew Luck was good. I'm going to put that disclaimer out there. Now, did the Colts? Andrew? Oh, actually, let me pull up the numbers. He had 1 year, 40 touchdowns. Amazing. It was the year before he got hurt and missed half the season. He had a 68% completion percentage, something in that nature. First 3 years, they went to the playoffs. First round exit, second round exit. His 40 touchdown year, they went to the AFC title game. Great. After that, a bunch of first round exits until his injury put him out for the year. All those stats that he compiled, I'm not going to look them up. You can look them up yourself. They were great on paper. All that stat stuffing led to nothing, okay? They drafted, this is about expectation. If all three of us plan to rob a bank and we have the most perfect plan and we have the best crew and a tire blows out, guess what? That job was a bust. It had nothing to do with our plan. It had nothing to do with how good we were at stealing things, right? Andrew Luck's expectation was to replace Peyton Manning. After that first year, that 12-4 year, they had him in tier 1. Is Andrew Luck at any point been with Brady, Breeze, or Rodgers? No. You know where Andrew Luck has always been? He's been at the top of that tier 2, that Matt Ryan, Russell Wilson, Ben Roethlisberger area. That's not what they drafted him for. I'm going to keep saying that. That's going to be a theme. They did not draft him for 6 years and one AFC title loss, right? They drafted him for multiple Super Bowls, multiple playoff appearances. They drafted him to be a 10-year starter. They drafted him to replace Peyton Manning. 6 years with no Super Bowl appearances, that is a bust compared to what he was drafted for, how he was drafted, and the hype surrounding him. Again, this is not about performance. This is about expectation and failure to meet it. Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota are busts because of performance. They were drafted 1 and 2 to be franchise quarterbacks, and they did not play well, so they got ousted. They are bust.
Did Luck? Yeah, that's great. Hold on. Did Luck play himself out the league? You're right in terms of, you can be right in terms of Mariota and Winston because they have no jobs. Luck quit his job. Luck didn't lose his job.
That's even worse. That's even worse.
Again, it's not worse. He quit.
We don't even have to get to that point for me. Again, it's about expectation. Andrew Luck is Andrew Luck a Hall of Famer right now?
Of course not.
Exactly. He was drafted to be he was supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He was drafted.
Yeah, you had a long monologue. Corey, go ahead, man.
Anytime you draft a quarterback, I'll go as far as say the first round, but I'm really talking top 10 in the first round. Anytime you draft a quarterback, that's supposed to be your Super Bowl quarterback. That's supposed to be your Hall of Fame quarterback. So I don't think to say that just because he didn't, all teams have that plan. That's not like the Colts, that was their plan. It's the Dolphins' plan, drafted in Tua. That's just what you want out of it. But instead of arguing back and forth, I'm just going to read a list of names, and I want you to tell me whether they are better or worse than Andrew Luck. Okay?
Don't even read the list because, again,
I'm leaving. I'm reading it. Here we go.
Read it.
Dante Culpepper.
No.
Jason Campbell.
No.
Ryan Leaf. Here we go. Jamarcus Russell.
No.
Exactly. Vince Young.
No.
Chad Pennington. These are all examples of.
Chad Pennington went to a Super Bowl, no?
No.
Chad Pennington's that dude. I don't want to. He's a bad example.
He went to the playoffs, but not the Super Bowl. Listen, my point is those are busts.
Playoffs like everybody else.
Those are the busts. Those are your first round busts.
Right. Again, the Bucks part, again, not. Shan, mute your mic. The bust part is not about his ability to play the position. When he was playing, yes, he was great as a player. My argument is not about him being a bust because he couldn't play his position. Again, you read off all those names. Has any quarterback since Andrew Luck been nearly as touted as he was coming out of college? The answer is no. He was
Right.
after that first year. They had him in the Hall of Fame after year one, bro. They had him up there with Brady and Breeze. And they said he's going to be the greatest quarterback. Once Brady and Peyton Manning retire, he's going to be the next #1 quarterback, the face of the NFL. He wasn't even close.
He was the most
Exactly.
anticipated person.
Exactly.
Like, they put him up there with LeBron as anticipation to enter a professional league. I'll agree with you.
If
Whose fault is that?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I want to get. Let me say something, and hopefully we can try to start moving on to the next topic. But it's not his fault, right? It's not Luck's fault that he's rated that high. But I know, no, but
put players around you.
You can definitely call
Aaron Rodgers. Had the Packers have failed Aaron Rodgers. He's still the greatest quarterback ever, and he's gotten injured and missed seasons too. But
Rodgers is God, right? I mean, but
they were putting him in that tier.
People have. I mean, people were putting Luck high, and because I did a little bit. I was trying to look up some kind of ammo for this because. Going into this topic, but people like JJ Watt came out and said that he believes Luck is one of the best people he's seen pre-snap, and that's kind of like something that I have to point to because I hate these stats, man. Like, I understand stats is an easy way to make a point because it's just a number, and it's like you can't see the game, you can't see what's happening. It's an easy way to make a point. If you take the numbers away and you watch this guy play, he was better than a lot of people gave him credit for. I mean, he probably was overrated, but he still was good. He was really good football player, and he made a lot of things happen. Hold on, he made a lot of things happen, and he was a specimen. Like he came out there and he was close to Aaron Rodgers-esque, but just kind of fell short. And I do think that he fell short of his potential, and I think he could have been better than what he was. And I do think injuries plagued him. But the fact that you made the point of him coming into a team that's 2-14, taking him to 12-4, and then also going 12-4, or maybe even 12-4 the first year, then 11-5 2 years after. His first 3 years, they're going 12-4, 11-5. His first 3 years in the league, and then he goes. Hold on, stop. And he's going to
and continues to be the weakest division.
Nah.
You keep calling about
he did well, and I want to see wins. I don't want to see completion percentages. I want to see to win the game. And he did. What does he want? Listen, he hasn't won. He hasn't won much. He hasn't won much. And you know what? He didn't play that many seasons, and he was hurt.
And listen, he went, and then I'm glad you mentioned that because the overrated part comes with playoff experience. Right?
He made three playoffs his first 3 years, and he hasn't, and he's retired early. He could have easily played. So if he double his career, double his playoff appearances, you're telling me he wouldn't have another chance to carry another Super Bowl, or at least one Super Bowl?
He's 4-4 in the playoffs with 12 touchdowns, 13 interceptions.
So he played 8 games in the playoffs. So what if he played another 8 games? When he played another 8 games in the playoffs, do you think he would have a chance at all?
Fine. If you want to play that game, listen. He's
retired early.
I can. If I shoot 1 for 2 in the first half, I have to only assume. I can't make the assumption that I'm going to make all my shots in the second half. The assumption is at best I'm going to go 1 for 2 again, which is 2 and 4 for the game. Andrew Luck went 4-4 in the playoffs. I'm not going to assume that he's just all of a sudden going to win 20 playoff games after that. I'm going to assume, hey, your regular season was great and you dipped to below 50% completion percentage in the playoffs. You didn't show up, right? Your one historic playoff game that you did have, I wouldn't even say historic, great. I'll say a great playoff performance you had against the Chiefs, I believe. You came back down from 30 points. Well, why were you down 30 points? It's because you threw 3 interceptions in the first half. So that's probably the best thing I can say about Andrew Luck, which to me, again, is overrated and a bust. They didn't again, I'm not saying, and you can't point to an instance where I said Andrew Luck wasn't a good player. What I'm saying is, based on where he was drafted, how they were hyping him up, and what his career ended up being, yes, he was injured.
You also said he was the biggest bust ever, and you really and hold on, but you're lying. But you just told Corey that he's not better than
I'll agree overrated. You're definitely not the biggest bust.
The biggest? You just agreed that he wasn't that Jamarcus Russell and Vincent Young. You just named people that
Jamarcus Russell and Vince Young were not touted as highly as Andrew Luck was. He is the biggest bust because he was touted
number 1
way
picks.
higher. I don't care. There's mad
And
number
not,
one.
and they literally
He is
did
the most number one
nothing.
of-
And they literally
of all
did
those
nothing.
quarterbacks-
They didn't win any
Actually,
playoffs games.
DeMarcus
Of all
held
those
out for
quarterbacks-
like the first year.
Listen, I got you. Of all those quarterbacks you mentioned, give me the last quarter. Like, who would you draft number one of all those quarterbacks? Who's the number one quarterback of all those quarterbacks you mentioned so far?
Luck.
Andrew Luck. So therefore, he is the
And he's
biggest name,
he's accomplished the
biggest player,
most.
and he's the biggest bust based on his expectation, bro.
All right, man. We're going in circles here. I don't know.
We're not
It's
gonna
okay to
agree.
be wrong.
We're not breaking them,
It's okay
Ty.
to
We're
be
not
wrong.
breaking them today.
I know, Jamal. We know it's okay because you're clearly okay with it. I got it, man. It's all good.
No, it's okay for you to be wrong, bro. We all have our opinions, even if yours is the wrong one.
Since we're getting a heated debate and it seems like we're about to fight and come to blows, I feel like I'm about to bite this nigga's ear off. Like, speaking of which, my man, you see, this is a great topic because recently we're talking about Mike Tyson and fighting him, and I was the one. I'm gonna have to pat myself on the back because I said it first. Like, nobody wants no smoke with Mike Tyson at all at any time soon. You better wait until he's in a goddamn wheelchair. He is. You don't want no smoke with him. And videos are coming out of him going crazy, and he's saying he's back. Is he joking?
The change of his body composition in the last 6 months, all this guy has been doing is waking up, eating raw eggs, and working out. He's insane. He looks just as good as he did in his prime. And some of the videos that are coming out, I mean, nobody wants any part of anything. Except for maybe Evander Holyfield for the third time.
Yeah, I don't know what he's thinking. Listen, I did say at first, because I saw them before pictures, and that's what I was judging off of. I said, you know what? And I never said I was going to win. I said, I'll fight Mike Tyson for $1 million. Like, I think I can hang. And then Corey showed me the new footage, and he said, no, you don't. And I said, oh, that's a fact. That's a big fact. That's a huge fact, matter of fact. There's no way anybody should fight him.
Have you seen there's like new footage too. You seen a new footage?
No, I saw it today.
Yeah.
Evander Holyfield looks like he's been doing PCP and living under a bridge for the last 20 years.
Stop.
He should not fight Mike Tyson. Nobody should. Matter of fact, nobody should fight Mike Tyson.
No,
if anybody who's who?
No, Wilder, dead ass. No, I would want to see that. I'm not joking. I would love to see him fight a serious heavyweight. He doesn't seem that. Like, just watching him, not even joking. I'm not worried about it. Like, I'm not thinking, oh, Wilder's gonna beat up this old man and make him like. No, I don't believe that at all. Like, I think
the problem is, sorry.
No, I'm just that's the only point I want to make. I think that would be an intriguing fight to watch, especially because I think he could get in Wilder's mind. And but also another thing on Holyfield though, if you did actually look at it, but not just, I think you just said that because you're just making a joke. If you look at Holyfield's, he looks in shape, bro. He actually did just come up. Yeah, he just came up with a video. It wasn't no training video, but it was just him talking. He looked like he probably takes care of himself. I know he's super godly. Maybe he takes care of himself. He looks. I
don't care how bad he takes care of himself. He don't take care of himself like Tyson does. Let me tell you something.
I don't know. See, I would be mad.
Wilder would not be a good fight because, as we just saw with Wilder's other fight, Wilder can't fight. He's not a good boxer, right? He is just a power guy. Mike Tyson is better. He's Wilder, and he knows how to box. That's the problem he's going to have.
That's why I say Wilder, because I don't want Tyson to get beat up. So I don't want him to go fight Joshua or like somebody. Like, I don't want him to fight Tyson Fury.
Anthony Joshua, too.
Damn.
I see, and I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I think the biggest issue for Tyson, if he were to go back to fighting or trying to school some of these younger guys, which I would love to see hands down, I think he would have to take care of it in the first 3 rounds. I don't think he's going all 10 rounds. I think his stamina is going to get to the best of him. So we need Iron Mike to be Iron Mike and knock people out in 40 seconds or 13 seconds, and like his history has shown, personally speaking, because I think if he were to try to actually step in the ring with a current fighter, a younger fighter, I don't think his stamina would last much past a few rounds.
I don't think a younger fighter's life would last past a few rounds.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
I agree with you, Corey, but I think it'd be.
Oh, if he could land it.
If we were being serious and we said, okay, because you know how some of the big names come into boxing and they feed them like the guys who have 1 or 2 fights and are not really experienced. If I know we're going to the top of the mountain with Joshua and Wilder, but if Tyson was to go in there with a professional boxer that had probably 5 fights on his belt, I have no doubt that Tyson would win, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he would knock that dude out right now, 100%. Probably not Joshua for the reasons you said, right? They're just at the top of that mountain, and they probably have the stamina to hang. But you're right. If Tyson can land it, but I would like to see him fight like a normal guy, a normal, regular, no-name fighter in a fight. I don't think I would want him to go against Joshua, because honestly, if Mike Tyson wins that, it's over for boxing. And boxing's already hanging on by a thread anyway. But if you let 53-year-old Mike Tyson come in there and beat up Deontay Wilder, boxing should just never, ever be allowed to be a thing.
See, I look at that as a way to draw new viewers to boxing. If they were to have one of those type matches in every card or something similar to, I think you would get a lot more people to kind of, and I'm not talking just big name Mike Tyson or Holyfield, or even if Mayweather were to say, I'm going to come out of retirement. I'm thinking if you had some sort of storyline or mismatch, kind of like professional wrestling, to kind of give that edge of just a random person, because I don't mind boxing, but I'm only watching it when there are big name cards. I'm not turning it on every Saturday night on HBO, you know what I mean?
Right.
That would draw me to boxing. One funny thing I read, and I was talking to Ty about it earlier when you were jumping on, was if Mike were to fight Holyfield, they say it would be for charity. I don't know about you guys, but the last thing I want to do is watch two guys fight for charity. I'd rather see two guys that have extreme hatred towards one another and really want that money for themselves. I don't think anybody can, when you box and the winner gets umpteen $1 million, they're fighting for that money. I don't think two guys getting in a ring fighting for money they're never going to see. I don't want to watch that. I want a hungry guy that wants that money.
There's going to be some backdoor like gambling shit. They're going to make money somehow. There people are going to give them money. They'll make, maybe not from the event, but there'll be some like under the table, some type of money that they'll make off
they'll
of
be
something.
compensated.
I'll tell you what, man. I if Holyfield is serious about this, because I think Tyson is serious. I really do think that he wants somebody to take this bait, and I don't think Holyfield really wants it. But if he's saying it and he really steps into that ring, he knows that Tyson's not going in there to play any games. Like Tyson, charity or not, Tyson, charity or not, especially if you're talking about Holyfield. We all come on, like the history is clear.
If it's Holyfield, like you said, with the history, I think that it ceases to be a charity event. Then you'll see.
Serious.
Promoters
It's
come
gonna be
in there and
serious.
say, "Whoa, hold on, Tyson. If you want to do a charity fight, we'll find like I don't know if Butterbean is still with us, but Butterbean or the ghost of Butterbean, we'll bring him for the charity shit. This is Evander Holyfield. We have a story to tell. Let's put this shit in Vegas when we can. And you know how much money you're talking McGregor, Floyd Mayweather type numbers. If Tyson and Holyfield get into the ring again." You're out, because the McGregor and Floyd thing, that was more for the younger boxing fans. But now you're going to get the old guys like us, right? Who grew up on Tyson and Holyfield and Lennox Lewis and these guys. I will be right there. I'll go to the fight. I don't care where I'm at. I'll get in there somehow.
I hope Holyfield. I really hope that I'm right about Holyfield taking care of himself. Like, because he seemed, like I said, check out his Twitter. Go follow him on Twitter. He just came up with a video because did you see the meme? The reason why, because the meme came out of him with the mask, of the coronavirus mask, and it was falling off to one side because of his ear. So he literally was responding to that. Like he responded,
no, bro.
But he doesn't look. He doesn't.
You guys can see this.
He doesn't look fat. Is it? Oh, I didn't see this.
Dog, he looks like you. There's no way, bro.
You're a damn lie. He looks like a strong ass.
Let's try to get him on. Let's try to get him on Friday and ask him.
He looks slow though, and he looks nothing like Tyson. He looks nothing like Tyson.
Nothing. Tyson will eat this dude. He'll eat the rest of his body. Literally, you thought the ear was the appetizer. He's gonna eat. If this Holyfield shows up to that fight, from what I saw on Tyson today, I don't.
Those are old man dozers. That was like community home boxing. That was like
that Holyfield looks like his age. He looks like a guy.
Yeah, no, Tyson looks scary.
Yeah, no, there's no way. I don't even want to see it now. If that's the Holyfield we're getting, bring on Wilder or somebody, because that's insane.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Anything else for the good of the cause?
Listen, man, Andrew Luck.
No.
I knew he was gonna go there.
You're done. All right, man. Well,
let's wrap it up. Well, let's talk about. Did you guys watch UFC 249? Because I don't really want to talk about the event. Okay, the event was fine. There was only a few interesting things I want to talk about as it relates to all sports. The fact that it was Dana White said, "I'm going to be the first sport back," and I think he was right. There was no other major sport, and he did it.
Korean baseball.
In the States, nobody cares about Korean baseball.
A-Rod's friends do.
A-Rod's friends do.
A-Rod's
Yeah, we
friends
do.
care about
Yeah, we
Korean
do.
baseball.
The Korean baseball league's the one that has the robots in the stands as fans, right? Is that them or is that somebody else?
What?
There's
I
like
think
some,
So, yeah. Like
one of them.
the mannequins.
Yeah, not to sound like all the Asians look the same, but all the Asians look the same, right? But I don't know which one it is. So UFC had two interesting things that I wanted to talk about as it relates to sports before we get out of here. One, they had a fighter. They had everybody isolated, but they did have a fighter test positive for the coronavirus, and they did Dana White said, "Fuck that," and did the event anyway, right? So there's not
so,
gonna
so the fighter did fight with the coronavirus.
no, they took him out and they just canceled his fight,
Okay.
like went along. But the point
Everything
is,
else went.
everything else went when everybody's supposed to be there and isolated, which means this guy was in close proximity with all the other fighters at some point during the build up to the fight. It's because they were there, a week or a couple days before the actual event. Nobody just showed up that day. Like they've been there.
Right.
'Cause everybody had to get tested before, and everybody got tested after. Now everybody that tested after did test negative, so I guess that's a good thing. But I was thinking, how does that translate to normal sports? Because Dana White said, "Fuck you, guy. You have coronavirus. Just get out of here. I'm not canceling my show." Because I could easily see basketball cancel the game as players were about to tip off. You know what I mean? Without testing anybody, just the threat of Rudy Gobert had it at some point, and so you know what? We're going to cancel this game, and so Dana White, I think, is setting a precedent for saying, "Listen, man, people are going to test positive. I don't care if they open everything up or not. People are going to test positive, and all we can do is send them home, but we're going to keep this show going." And I was just wondering, do you think that would translate into other sports?
No.
As seamlessly. Okay.
See, not seamlessly. I think maybe on a smaller scale. You got to think UFC. The amount of guys fighting plus the trainers that they brought are probably the same amount, just for that one night, the same amount of maybe one baseball team. Okay? So your numbers are a little bit smaller. So where I think if when sports returns, if there are no fans, meaning you're not going to have the concession stand workers, you're going to have both teams, the trainers, the officials. I think if there is someone that maybe tests positive, they might adapt to a similar thing that what Dana White did. But I think with fans there, with other workers there, and all that other stuff, in that broad of a scale with more people, I think they would end up just shutting it down out of just caution.
Okay. Yeah, I thought. Oh, Shan, you had something?
No,
for that?
I don't have anything. This pisses me off, man. It's fucking like sports.
I know. Yeah. The other thing.
Listen, I couldn't be more happy Dana White would just said, "Hey, forget it. This is what I'm doing. The show's going on anyway." I mean, I think that was awesome. I just don't think everybody can get away with it.
I'm just surprised that it wasn't talked about enough in the national media. I thought it would be a bigger story than it was, and I just was like, well, wait a minute, man. Like, for me, I think Dana White tried not to make a big deal about it, so nobody else did for that reason. Like, if I make a big deal about it, yeah, it's going to be a big
that's
deal.
been the theme the last 2 months. I mean, we know this. Like, the bigger of a deal you make with something, now it's gonna, 2 more weeks of this, and then so I think as long as you keep the media low, then you can pretty much do whatever you want.
And the last thing I'll say about it is, and you guys know, I like to root for the bad guy. And I believe in second chances. So it gave me great joy to watch my guy, the Kraken, Greg Domestic Abuse Hardy, get his 6th victory by decision in the UFC. Now, what was more interesting about that, not that I condone domestic violence. But
I hope not.
No, hell no. No. He didn't go to jail. Like, fuck it. The law, it just worked out in his favor. But I appreciate the fact that he's moving on with his life. People have to move on with their lives, and it is what it is. And I don't, he should go to jail, but he didn't go to jail, so fuck it. So now he's in the UFC. What was really interesting, I really don't care about Greg Hardy. I just wanted to make a joke. But what was interesting about his victory was he won because Daniel Cormier, because there was no people in the stands, the fighters could actually hear, and I think one of the female fighters, and I don't know her name, I'm sorry, off the top of my head, one of the female fighters actually said this too. They could hear, like Daniel Cormier and the guys who do the broadcast for TV, they could hear them while they were fighting. They could hear them while in between rounds. So he was hearing Daniel Cormier's criticisms or what he's seeing from the other guy, and then he adjusted his strategy. The girl did the same thing. Said, "Oh, this girl is not protecting her left, so She started attacking her left, and then beat her ass after she was losing the fight." And I said, "Wow." Now think about that in other sports, in basketball and football with no stands. You're going to be picking up on these cues. Like,
Definitely.
I would love to see how that affects. Maybe not football because they're on the other side of the field, but maybe like the communication between the players. It'll probably be easier to.
No,
pick
it
that
will
up.
be. It will be. The crowd noise is a huge. The crowd noise is a huge thing in football. Like with the snap count and pre-play snaps and calls and reads and stuff. Like hell, it's a great point. I feel like you're right. They're even especially in football. More, it's just quiet. So you're gonna hear every last thing. Like you hear somebody.
Think about basketball. Like when the coaches and the coaches when they're on your thing. On the sidelines during timeout, they're not that far from each other. Who's to stop like a coach from sidestepping and trying to listen to what the huddle is coming out of a timeout?
Right.
Like, what do? You put each team, like you move the bench to each side of the basket, like behind the basket. Like I don't know what you do for the NBA to stop that, but like you're going to be hearing, and those arenas. I mean, I'm guessing they're going to move to smaller venues, but if they play in like in one arena, like if they're going to do it in Florida and they're playing in Miami and Orlando arenas and they split the teams up. Those things echo, man. Like you're going to hear shit. And, especially as the game goes on, you're not paying attention to the volume of your voice. You're paying attention to the game plan. Like just the strategy you have to take and change. Like it's just going to be different. I don't know. I'm scared. Like I just say,
I agree. I think it takes away home field advantage a little bit. You look at places like in football, like Seattle and Kansas City, that are known for these loud crowds, and that's what really shuts down a team. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be. But hey, sports are going to be back. So
sports are back, baby.
And Tyson is back. Hide your kids. Hide your kids. Hide your wife.
Andrew Luck is not back though. He'll never will be back.
All right, bro. All right.
Love y'all, man.
All right,
Good
man.
episode.
I love you guys. So listen, check us out on Friday, happy hour.
Yo, especially check us out. Well, actually, you know what? Hold on, we got to say something else, because if you do check our podcasts out, like we do it live all the time, like we go here, we go live, we have fun, but a lot of times we take this and it goes on a podcast, like, so if you search stuff about sports on all your podcast platforms, you will find the audio podcast. But more importantly, we have A-Rod on the podcast.
Oh yeah.
More important. So you go listen to we had him on our happy hour this past Friday, like Corey just said. Our next happy hour, we're gonna have him every Friday. Check out on our Facebook page our happy hours. This past Friday, A-Rod joined in on a Zoom call. Who knows this Friday? Maybe somebody, maybe Tim Tebow, the God, maybe maybe The Rock,
maybe Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson. At this point, you don't know. So you better just tune in. Happy hour, 5:30 ish Friday. Check us out and
follow us on Instagram. Stuff about sports.
That's
all right,
it,
boys.
All right.